Hey there everybody, and welcome back to the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth tutorial edition. This is the third and final part in my series on the Keeper character. We are going to discuss strategy today, and I'll show you how and in which order to attempt and conquer all the challenges this character poses, as well as unlock, of course, all the items that he has. If you haven't seen the other two videos, I am linking those in the description below. The first one was about just the basics of how to play as the Keeper, just general stuff, and the second one discussed basically all the items in Isaac and pointed out differences in which the Keeper can use those items, if that is the case, of course. But this third part will go into the nitty-gritty a little bit more and give you some practical hints on how to do all the unlocks as quickly and as painlessly as possible. As always, I will also include a summary of all the tips that I'm talking about here in this video in the description, so that you can just look that up if you ever want to revisit all the stuff that I was talking about in this series. So let's get this started. In my opinion, the Keeper is actually a really well designed character. He's of course tough to play as because of his HP situation, which you know about, of course. But he has other shortcomings too, which we're gonna talk about later on when it comes to items. The Keeper, more than any other character, I'd say, has a really good potential of getting item combinations that break the game, and usually that results in a very overpowered run, which compensates for the shitty HP situation, of course. Before you can do that, though, you need to get these items unlocked first and foremost. I'm talking about, of course, the wooden nickel as a starting item, which you get from defeating Isaac as the Keeper, and the store key, which you get from defeating Satan as the Keeper. And swallowed penny doesn't hurt either. So how do you get, these starting items and a good chance of getting swallowed penny? Actually, before I answer that, let me just point out that the footage you're seeing right now, I'm pretending like I don't have the wooden nickel or the store key, just so you see how I would approach that situation. Just so we're clear on that. Okay, so the swallowed penny. As a reminder, swallowed penny makes it so that every time you get hit, you will drop a coin, and under ideal circumstances that grants you basically invincibility, because every time you get hit, you just walk over to the coin and pick it up again. You just have to make sure not to get hit a second time until you've picked up the coin. So swallowed penny takes care of the HP problem, but that's not the only problem the Keeper is burdened with. His relatively low speed, poor damage, and slow tear rate because of triple shot translate into dicey combat, because you're gonna be very weak in terms of crowd control. Most of the time you'll just die because you can't deal with all the enemies fast enough and you get overwhelmed, or you didn't get enough money in between rooms to heal yourself up with. All that is a problem. So when you decide on your starting items, and I would definitely recommend you keep restarting your runs until you find an item that at least deals with one of these four problems. That is speed, damage, tear rate, and the ability to find swallowed penny, which of course you will get by bombing pots. And there's a really good chance that if you have enough bombs, you will get Swallowed Penny eventually on any run. On your first few attempts, I'd say Swallowed Penny is almost necessary to ensure that you survive until the Cathedral and beat Isaac, because without Wooden Nickel you can only ever get hit once, and you can only ever refill your HP from dropped coins, which are of course dependent on your luck stat, and you really don't want that to be your sole source of HP. If, as the keeper, you will never have more than these 2 HP containers. So unless you have like an exceptional run, including of course Holy Mantle, because that eliminates the problem entirely, or at least makes it a lot easier, I would recommend you restart your run if you don't have Swallowed Penny by the 3rd floor. Pots are just very hard to come by from that point forward. So just take your time. Look in every nook and cranny. Make sure you get as many consumables as possible, especially bombs, and before you start bombing pots in order to look for Swallowed Penny, make sure to discover all the rooms first. That way you'll find the spots with the most pots grouped together to be blown up by a minimum amount of bombs. But don't be cheap with your bombs either. If at the end of the 2nd floor you find pots and you have bombs in reserve, just bomb all the pots that you can, and if you don't find it, just restart, because just repeating the process is a lot easier than losing a run that comes really far, but then you just die for no reason because you don't have the protection from Swallowed Penny. So the other important thing is to try and deal with the devil items without putting yourself at too great a risk. Of course, that you should leave any HP upgrade on the floor without picking it up until you actually finish the level and proceed to the next floor. Because if you get a deal with the devil and there's a 1 heart deal that would be useful, you could just take it and then take the HP upgrade afterwards. What you might not know is there's a trick to getting a 2 heart deal as the keeper if you have a portable HP upgrade. That includes either a health up pill, a health down pill, because it will convert into a health up, or a strength card. Because the strength card as the keeper actually gives you permanent HP, which you will not lose once you leave the room again. So here's how the trick works. You have to take your 2 heart deal with the devil, and precisely when your character holds up the item over his head, you use your strength card or HP up pill, and then if you timed it correctly, your HP should then still be at 1 coin container, and you should still be alive, which you wouldn't be otherwise. That of course means that you can only do this trick if you either know there's another 2nd HP upgrade somewhere on the floor, either a card or a pill or an item, there you could just exit the deal with the devil and pick that up and have your 2nd HP container back right away. Or the deal with the devil is that strong that you're thinking like, okay, I should be able to survive until, I get another HP upgrade somewhere down the line. But it has to be really goddamn good, because there's really no room for error. 1 slip up and you're dead without Holy Mantle as the keeper and only 1 HP. And at that point, having gotten Swallowed Penny early enough during the first 2 floors, and maybe a good deal with the devils somehow with a lucky HP upgrade or something, there's only so much I could tell you. Just keep playing well, keep dodging, keep staying alive, and picking up good items, of course. You might have to do this a few times. I think it took me like 2 or 3 days until I got my Isaac kill as the keeper. But you should be fine. It's not as bad as you might think. Just keep in mind that with Swallowed Penny you can play Demon Judgments basically for free. Because you can just pick up your coin every time and play him again, and you will get a guaranteed item from him. And same thing goes for blood donation machines, of course. You get the free items that come from that, and also unlimited money from IV bags if you so desire. Maybe one last piece of general advice. Take very good care in identifying pills. The thing is, never take unknown pills if you're at full HP. Try identifying them when you've already taken a hit, and just be safe in that regard, because getting an unlucky health downgrade from a pill can really just sink your keeper run. You do not want that. Avoid at all costs. So try and identify pills only when you're safe, and also get PhD if you can. And of course, if you see a tarot card on the shop, consider buying it. It could be a strength card. Those HP upgrades will help you when taking a deal with the devil, and will keep your, at least the possibility alive to take a 2-heart deal with the devil even. Alright, congrats! You've beaten Isaac as the keeper. Our next target will be Satan, of course, and for that we will have the wooden nickel right off the bat. And for this, basically the same logic applies as for Isaac. The only different thing that you have to keep in mind is to use the wooden nickel to your best advantage by popping it every time you enter a room with combat in it, or any room that gives you a charge back after you use it. Also keep in mind to at least leave a few coins on the ground during your foray through the floor, just in case you get hit unexpectedly and you need to heal. You don't want to, first of all, you don't want to have to waste one charge of your wooden nickel on the next room just to heal yourself. You want to have the charge ready to heal yourself if you get hit on that room, ideally. So it's best to be able to go back to a previous room and simply pick up a coin there and move on, basically. Another thing is that with wooden nickel as a starting item, you do want to check for at least the first floor curse room if you happen to spawn next to one, you know, while you're restarting a run, so get a good item. Because there's actually a not awful chance of actually being able to get in and get back out without dying, because you know, you have a 50-50 chance from wooden nickel to heal you inside the curse room, or, you know, sometimes you can get like a chest in there that has coins in it or something. So the chance is actually not that bad. And starting with a nice deal with the devil item from the curse room or a guppy item is a huge benefit to your keeper run at the very start. Now, on your way to Satan, you will want to upgrade your spacebar item efficiency by picking up battery items, etc., etc. Car battery is very good because it gives you 2 chances at 50% of spawning a coin during a room. But basically, any sort of battery item is usually very good for that. Charged Baby is amazing because it will spawn extra battery charges during the fights, and so on and so forth. The habit, of course, is another amazing synergy if you're lucky enough to get it, so that every time you get hit, you have a chance of getting another wooden nickel charge. Another payout from wooden nickel, I should say. And of course, swallowed penny, but we all know that anyway, right? Fuck yeah, dude! You beat Satan! Congrats, man! You're the best, girl! Now for the most annoying part, though. Here's the thing, we still need to do boss rush. We still need to do hush. That means we will have to rush and have actually a run that lets us do that as the keeper, which is bad enough as it is. And then on top of all that, if you manage to beat both these, I'm sorry to say, the game does not really reward you with anything useful. Your reward for doing boss rush will be sticky nickels, which some view as a blessing, some as a curse. I'm not going to go too much into it, you can read up on that yourself. Basically, it yields a chance at a little bit more money during a run, but not always. You'll see what I mean, but just trust me that it's not a game changer. And beating Hush just gives the keeper a coin to start with, which he otherwise wouldn't have. Yes. Anyway, I guess while we're at the rest of these upgrades you can unlock with the keeper, I should mention Karma, which you get from beating the Dark Room, and Deep Pockets, which you get from beating the chest. And both of these are more or less useful. Deep Pockets is basically a combination of Starter Deck and Little Baggy without their downsides. That means you can take 2 pills and or 2 cards with you, and neither pills or cards are removed from the consumable pool, I guess you'd call it. As with Karma, it's a trinket you can find just randomly, and it's not as useful in my opinion. Basically, whenever you donate to your donation machine, there's a chance you get healed for red hearts, I believe, or spawn a beggar, and you also have a higher chance of getting your luck increased by playing donation machines. But alright, let's talk finally about rushing the game as the keeper to go to boss rush and or hush. Basically, be good at Isaac, but your skill will be supplemented by wooden nickel and store key, which should give you the capacity to break the game to some degree. Let's say there's like 150 rooms that you can possibly fight on your way to Mom's Heart, which each have a 50% chance of paying out with wooden nickel every time you use it, so there's at least like a projected value of 75 cents to be had if you don't get hit a lot, and that's not even factoring in that wooden nickel can pay out with nickels and dimes, so you will be very, very well rewarded in terms of money. And don't be afraid to just spend your time in shops getting items or re-rolling items or whatever. That's not too bad, but you have to make sure you go through your rooms fast enough. And that requires you to get like a few room clearing items. My favorite, I think, on the keeper was always Tech X. That one's amazing. You can basically, because it's also it synergizes with triple shots, so you pull out these 3 laser circles every time you use it, and the charge time is really good, so that kind of steamrolls the early game in a big way. And then, of course, you need to also buff your wooden nickel, of course, with items that make it more likely for you to drop coins on the floor while fighting. One specific combination that I found really useful, and that's how I beat my boss rush, is by getting Lucky Rock and some item that lets me crush rocks and obstacles, like with Leo or Thunder Thighs, or to a lesser extent, because it's dependent on RNG if you actually get what you need, Zodiac. So these items can be useful, or other items that let you shoot bombs indefinitely, like Dr. Fetus or Epic Fetus, and so on and so forth. And there's a really good chance that there's going to be a lot of rocks in your boss rush room. So basically, if you have that combination on boss rush with decent damage, you should actually be fine, because the whole room is full of health that you could just use whenever you need to. You just have to be careful to always stand in a spot that has you in reach of at least a coin or two. With Hush, on the other hand, your best bet is going to be the stopwatch, no doubt. Stopwatch, decent speed, decent damage. Basically, the stopwatch, with its effect active, of course, will diffuse most of Hush's attacks. The slowdown on his bullet hell attacks, of course, is pretty great. It lets you dodge his attacks a lot more easily, of course. But most importantly, I'd say, is his reduced range, specifically on the continuum shots, which are definitely the most annoying attacks he has, because they just shoot out seemingly at random, and it's a matter of luck, basically, where you stand, at least as far as I know. But the beautiful thing is that if the stopwatch effect is procced, most of the continuum shots won't even reach you, and you have plenty enough time to move out of the way when he changes directions. If you have the stopwatch, I would actually suggest you get hit early on in the Hush fight, as strange as this may sound, because if you get hit, say, during his continuum shots, it's actually the worst, because you will have both bullets that are unaffected and affected by the stopwatch effect. So they're slow and fast bullets intermingled with each other, and that's going to be the worst to deal with. So I'd say actually get hit fairly early on, so that you don't have to deal with that. One last thing about the tornado attacks he has at the very end of the fight, usually. They are, of course, very annoying, and if you get hit by them, you might think, I was just not fast enough, the game is unfair in that way. That's not really the case. Actually, the tornado attacks scale with your own speed. So if you move slowly, they move slowly. Just like that. So grit your teeth and bear it with, enough elbow grease and a little bit of luck. You should be able to do it. So that's Hushbeat. We're getting somewhere, right? In fact, you might be delighted to know that the worst is definitely behind us. If you haven't beaten Mega Satan yet, which, during your runs to the chest or the dark room, you might have considered, and I hope you don't listen to this part of the video after attempting Mega Satan, because Mega Satan as the Keeper is actually really easy, at least to get the requirements for it. You don't have to start with Dad's Key, you don't have to go for Angel Deals, none of that. Basically, all you need to do is, while stacking up damage upgrades, ask yourself the question, could I beat one of the angels in possibly a very small room without too much hassle or threat of death? If the answer to that is yes, awesome. In that case, stop picking up money. At least not unless you absolutely have to, or, you know, at the end of your floor. Because you're looking for self-sacrifice rooms from now on. In case you're unaware, the self-sacrifice room mechanics have been overhauled in a big way. Now they're actually useful in the fact that the more you hurt yourself on the spikes during one floor, everything resets after leaving that floor. If you hurt yourself a certain number of times, you have a chance of stuff spawning in that room. Those could be coins or chests or spirit hearts, which would convert, of course, into lots of flies for the keeper. And that is, of course, why you left all these coins behind on your way to the self-sacrifice room, so that you can hurt yourself on the spikes, backtrack, get healed with a coin, go back in, get hurt again, etc., etc. But here's what you need to keep in mind. The 8th time you play the self-sacrifice room and hurt yourself on the spikes, there's a 100% chance of troll bomb spawning in that room. That is your cue, basically, because the next time you play the self-sacrifice room, you will also have a 100% chance of a fight with one of the angels. That will then give you a key piece. That is very important. So after the troll bombs comes the first angel, and then after 2 more plays you get the second angel fight, also 100% chance. So if you're strong enough and the room isn't too small or whatever, there's no obstacles that you can hurt yourself on, you have a really good chance of getting the 2 key pieces during those fights, which will open up the Mega Satan fight for you on the chest or the dark room. But do not play the self-sacrifice room a 12th time, because the 12th time you play it, you have a 50-50 chance of getting teleported to the dark room right away. So only do that if you think you can beat Mega Satan right then and there. As for general tips for the fight, honestly, Mega Satan is pretty straightforward. Just stack up lots of damage and go to town on him. His health doesn't scale with your damage, and so if you have the right combination of items, you can just steamroll him. What's more dangerous is actually the waves you have to fight in between his attacks. The worst of which is the one with all the mini-bosses, like I think 5 at a time. And you do want to be at least a little bit faster than the average for that, because Super Lust is going to rush you down, and even if you can avoid that, while trying to run away, you will probably run into the attacks of one of the other mini-bosses. Most likely Super Pride's homing troll bombs is my guess. So you have to make sure you can kill that wave in particular quickly and reliably if you want to finish the Mega Satan fight. Once more, I should not neglect to mention that the stopwatch is probably going to be your best friend in that fight as well, simply because it grants you more reaction time to anything he throws at you. And of course, the reduced range is going to be very helpful. When it comes to the bullet hell phase of the fight, with the stopwatch effect in action, he can't even reach you if you're far enough at the bottom of the screen. And if your range is good enough in that instance, then the game is pretty much over at that point. And that's all, folks. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found something useful, even though, you know, most of the strategic advice was fairly common sense, but, you know, then again, I think it's really useful just to have this resource where you know there's all the information laid out in front of you, and if you want to, you can just look it up and not have to worry that you're forgetting something, because there's just so much stuff to keep in mind with Isaac. And on that note, I guess, if you noticed anything missing from this video, anything important that needed to be here, don't hesitate to tell me. I will gladly add it, at least into the description, to hopefully make this as complete a guide as I can. So yeah, again, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions on more tutorials that I could do, feel free to leave those in the comments as well. And do check out my other stuff. I mostly do Let's Plays of narrative games, usually. Isaac is kind of an anomaly in that regard. Occasionally I'll play some co-op games with friends, which tend to be a lot crazier than usual. And recently I've been playing more tactical games like Darkest Dungeon and XCOM 2. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, feel free to check it out, and I'll hopefully see you soon. Bye bye. You're still here? You need help with greed mode? As the keeper? Well, for the sake of completeness, I guess we can go over it. So, greed mode is probably the easiest challenge you will encounter as the keeper. That is mostly the case because, as you can see, there's lots of health on the ground at any given time, basically. So let's speed this up a little bit. What you're seeing right here is actually, for greed mode at least, an atypically weak run that I had. I never really got, you know, huge damage improvements right off the bat. I never got any deals with the devil. I actually got deals with the angel that never even had any items in them. Look at this shit. But my tier rate was pretty high, and I got items that made wooden nickel very good, like 9 volt and Nun's Habit, and I think, you know, like a really good passive damage source, of course, is Smart Fly here, but that's pretty much it. I have nothing else, and as you can see, I'm doing pretty darn well against Ultra Greed, because every time you get hit on this fight, you drop a coin automatically, 100%, no swallow penny necessary. So that makes the fight, careful there, a lot easier than with any other character. So there we go. That's the last piece of the puzzle, I guess. Here's the seed if you want to check it out yourself. I didn't even have to use my Chaos card either. I had that as a last resort, but only after I respawned once. I still have my 1-up as well, as you can see. Anyway, thank you very much for watching once more. And always remember, keep on keeping on.
What?